All right. Hi, am I audible? Am I visible? If you can confirm, I would really appreciate that. If you can.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Lovely. Thank you very much for identifying yourself in the chat box. Hello, good evening, vanakkam, and a warm welcome to everyone. The Nazareth College of Arts and Science Spoke Institute of IEDP in association with the University of Madras, a Hub Institute of Academic Innovation and Entrepreneurship Development Program, IEDP, of Entrepreneurship Development and Innovation Institute, Tamil Nadu, EDDI, Tamil Nadu jointly and proudly presents a webinar on how to start up, the making of student entrepreneurs. This is an initiative of Nazareth College of Arts and Science for aspiring student entrepreneurs in various colleges across Tamil Nadu. And இன்னைக்கு இந்த beautiful webinar, this life-changing webinar participate பண்ணிருக்க எல்லா students, for all the students, who've participated from various colleges, ஒரு பெரிய வணக்கம் and nandri, and also to the faculties, the coordinators, the ED cell coordinators, the principals, for all the approval and every support that you've extended. A big thanks and a warm welcome. A special welcome to Dr. Shivashankar, and a special welcome to Mr. Leo, and to the faculties and to the ED members, the EDDI members, and the IEDP members of the University of Madras. A warm welcome and sincere thanks to you. So on that note, Nazareth College of Arts and Science, IEDP, for the last decade, the Nazareth College of Arts and Science has been identifying, nurturing, and supporting the student entrepreneurial journey. And we have been successful in producing more than 50 plus entrepreneurs who are now globally positioned and are active in the cause of changing the world for a better tomorrow. So this very event, this very webinar is organized by Nazareth College of Arts and Science, like I mentioned, in association with the University of Madras, IEDP. And now about IEDP, it's an innovation and entrepreneurship culture of country is often regarded as the greatest national advantage in an increasingly competitive world. Innovation infrastructure includes universities and colleges, research institutions, laboratories, and startup companies. Taking note of the Vision 2023 statements of the government of Tamil Nadu, the Entrepreneurship Development and the Innovation Institute, that is EDDI, has launched a comprehensive program, that is Academic Innovation and Entrepreneurship Development Program, IEDP and AREDP, for entrepreneurship and innovation development for colleges, polytechnics, ITIs, etc. through hub and spoke model. Through the hub and spoke model, EDII, Tamil Nadu, under the Academic Innovation and Entrepreneurship Development Program, has connected with over 600 spoke colleges through shortlisted resourceful universities and colleges, over a dozen hub institutions for the spoke colleges across the state in facilitating innovation and entrepreneurship among student faculties. So these are the organizers who are proudly presenting this webinar for all of you. And in the webinar warm welcome solikren, particularly to the organizer, Nazareth College of Arts and Science, and a very warm welcome to the principal of Nazareth College of Arts and Science, Dr. E. Mary Angelin. Principal ma'am, thank you very much for being here today with us and for all the support and for organizing this wonderful webinar for the welfare of the aspiring student entrepreneurs and for the budding student community here. So Dr. Mary Angelin, principal of Nazareth College of Arts and Science, is now a member syndicate in the University of Madras, and she holds a doctorate in social work and is very keenly interested on various research projects, and ma'am has published a lot of books, a lot of research, ideas, and she's also an entrepreneur herself. And in the beautiful webinar, the best person to deliver the keynote address, there could be no other person, and we couldn't think of anybody else also. So now, ma'am, I'm leaving the floor over to you for your keynote address, please.
Thank you, Karista.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for the kind words. Good afternoon to all the dear participants, the resource person, Mr. Joseph Abraham, Mr. Henry Maris, Secretary Nazareth institutions, faculty coordinators from various colleges, colleagues and friends. I sincerely thank Dr. Leo Samuel, the Hub Coordinator, University of Madras, and Ms. Hepzibah, Field Coordinator, for encouraging us to anchor the webinar. My dear colleagues, friends, and students, I am happy to give the keynote for this webinar titled, How to Start Up. I will start with a quote by the famous physicist and Nobel Prize winner, Albert Einstein. If you have not failed, you have not tried anything new. Beautifully said, isn't it? Entrepreneurship is all about building something new out of nothing. The National Innovation and Startup Policy 2019 for students and faculty of higher education focus on entrepreneurship, promotion and development as a major dimension. And the role of educational institutions is not just completing the syllabus or granting a degree. It goes beyond that. It should work towards teaching skills to the students to become business leaders, social advocates, community volunteers, and forward-thinking citizens. In line with this, the University of Madras has initiated the Institute of Entrepreneurship and Development and also ensured that all the colleges under the UNOM jurisdiction register with the IDEP cell and gain maximum benefit from the schemes offered to the students and faculty. Entrepreneurship is an important aspect for the future of the generation. I think one of the biggest benefits of entrepreneurship education for students is that it will empower them in the early stages of life in higher education. The word entrepreneur or startup may sound silly to some of the students. Most of you who have joined this session because the colleges or the department have compelled you to join. But there must be a few of you who have joined the session because you have a small idea in you that is willing to be nurtured. For the present generation, thinking something new and starting something new is too easy given the opportunities that are thrown into your lap. Entrepreneurship is nothing but creating something new, giving value to it and deriving profit from it. Like the word, it is a lengthy and challenging process, but it is worth taking the risk. So my dear students, the University of Madras and your colleges as spoke hubs have set up a platform to help you to start your journey to become an entrepreneur. Make use of the opportunity given to you. Dear students, as educational institutions, we are here to shape and give hope to your small idea. I end with these words. You live only once, or you feel passionate about it. Take a chance. Think out of the box and don't be afraid to fail. Success will knock your door. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Nandri, thank you very much, ma'am. What a keynote to set the platform for all of us. Thank you very much. So before we could further, continue, I'm really going to request all of you to kindly, we love your enthusiasm. We know you are excited. We totally get it. But we're going to request for all of you to kindly mute your mics. Yeah, the host is already on it. But, Enga side la a request, please. And, also turn off your video cameras. And guys, do not use profanity here or on the YouTube, streaming, please. Or for all those who are watching through the YouTube streaming, we're going to request for you to kindly maintain decency because this is a public, a platform. You are being noticed, you are heard, you are seen. So kindly, maintain. All right, great, lovely. Thank you. So going forward, joining hands. with these powerhouses, Nazareth College of Arts and Science and the University of Madras, IEDP. MyOS, My Online Status, is proud to power this event today for all of you. Well, a quick brief about MyOS, My Online Status in, a powerful online career tool for student community. This integrated solution connects student candidates, colleges, and corporates for virtual placements. Through MyOS, students can create profile, build resume, practice aptitude domain-based tests, and enroll for courses, apply for internship, and the goal is to get your dream job. How do you like that? All right. Besides enhancing employability skills, MyOS nurtures entrepreneurship among students. MyOS proposes to establish Institutional Innovation Center, MIIC, in every college. We inspire student entrepreneurs to progress in their entrepreneurial journey, where we mentor them to, for the ideas to mature through MyOS Virtual Incubation Center. We are really happy to be a part and contribute in the making of student entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship is the key thrust in Education 5.0. We will come up with various boot camps in the future, so stay tuned to our page, to Nazareth College of Arts and Science page, and the University of Madras, IEDP, EDI, EDDI, and MyOS, MIIC for updates. Now, no further delay and ado, I am now going to introduce and welcome our resource speaker for this webinar, for aspiring students on how to start up. Joseph Abraham, ladies and gentlemen, you can give our resource speaker a virtual clap. All right. So thank you very much, Joseph, for being the mentor at MyOS and Institutional Innovation Center. Joseph is an entrepreneur himself and has been in the industry the last 15 plus years, inspiring young entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, and a lot of the student community. So you can see Joseph traveling all over the world, interacting with young and enthusiastic spirits like you all, and inspiring and sharing a lot of knowledge and influencing for better. Today, Joseph is here with us to guide us on how to start up. No further delay. Over to you, Joseph. You're on mute.
Thank you so much. Yeah, Carissa, thank you so much. And it's really nice to interact with all of you. I do see so many of you have joined, and I'm really, really happy. I'm also grateful to MyOS and their partners. I do see that Entrepreneurship Development Institute has been doing some amazing work, and to see so many people, it's really good. So I don't know why you are here, whether you are told to join this session, and it's Terila, but very simple thing is, if you really are going to be an entrepreneur, this session is going to be extremely useful for you, right? So before we get started, what I want to do is I want to keep it very reflective. So நம்ம கொஞ்சம் யோசிச்சு கொஞ்சம் notes எடுத்துட்டு then we'll move forward. The reason is very simple, that a lot of times we come attend sessions like this, but we don't reflect, we don't go back and think. And I want to create that bridge for thinking. Maybe today you might not be an entrepreneur, right? Maybe five years down the line, you might want to do a startup, and that's the time these thoughts and these ideas can really help you and can give you that push, right? So very quickly, I'll quickly share why I'm passionate about startups and entrepreneurship, and I want to start off by sharing why so many people are interested in entrepreneurship. And why entrepreneurship is not what it looks like. Okay, so to be very, very straightforward with you, entrepreneurship, looks something like this. நிறைய பேர் என்ன யோசிப்பாங்கன்னா, நான் ஒரு தொழிலதிபர் ஆகணும், entrepreneur ஆயிட்டு, I'm going to do something very simple, but show something really good that will bring a lot of money. So the first thing why people want to be an entrepreneur or they want to do a startup is they think there's a lot of money in startups. And I will come back to this point a little later, but I want to help you understand that the journey is very different. Okay. I'm not here to discourage you. I'm here to set some straightforward milestones. So, Ninga Vandu, startup interest in this, I just want to share with you how you can make your journey worthwhile. Rendavathu vandu, reason why people want to be entrepreneurs, and I meet young entrepreneurs, people are just doing the startup. The second reason why when I meet students, especially who jump in, they say, I want to be an employer, not an employee. Why should I go and work for somebody when I can give jobs to many people? It sounds good, but we'll again come back to this. The third, reason why people want to start, a startup is they really think that they have an idea, and that idea is a very powerful idea, and they can use that idea and change the world. And that's also a very interesting, start point. But again, we'll come back to that. There are several other reasons as well. Maybe friends come together, they think, hey, we can solve this, and so on and so forth. So just like that, back in the day when I was in college, a couple of my friends and me, we met in a small room in Bangalore, and we decided to be, entrepreneurs. And we decided to be entrepreneurs because we found a very, very simple use case. And the use case was that so many people were not getting jobs. And we figured out that getting jobs is not a real big problem. The problem is access. So this is back in the days, is long back, about 12 years, if I remember right. And so the whole idea was to help, people get placed. I believe 8 or 12 years. I'm not too sure about the timeline. So we decided, hey, we'll start a startup and we will help go to colleges and train colleges. And the only problem was that people couldn't crack their aptitude test. So we said, hey, we'll help them do that. And we started this whole thing. So that could also be one of the reasons why you do a startup, because like friends also come together and you feel it's fun, you're young. And அந்த மாதிரி friends jolly வந்து ஒரு startup பண்ணணும்னு ஒரு idea இருக்கும். But that's not why you do a startup. Okay, so let me start off by first important thing is you do a startup because there is idea that you have, but that idea is also viable, feasible, and desirable. So in the மூணு விஷயம் பத்தி அப்போ கொஞ்ச நேரம் அப்புறம் பேசலாம். But let me start with the first reason, with money. Okay, and then I'll share my screen as well, and we'll quickly go through some of it. I'll keep it extremely practical. Right? So money. Now I want you to do a simple exercise. And the exercise is that I wanted to go and find out how many startups started in 2019, right, just before the pandemic, have survived beyond the pandemic. So if you go and look at that rate, there's a very big death rate. We call it startup graveyard. And one of the primary reasons why startups, have failed is that, okay, somebody's sharing their screen, I believe. So, yeah, can you stop sharing the screen so that I can share my screen, please? Okay, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Great. So, one of the reasons, why startups fail is they ran out of money. You need money to run a business. You need money because you have to pay your employees. You need money because you need to run a few things. And one of the reasons why startups fail is because they ran out of money. Now, if startups were supposed to give you money, then everybody would have become rich, right? So it's the most easiest way to become successful. But that's not how it works. There are very few startups which succeed, and most of the startups actually fail. That's the reality, right? Second thing is, we think, hey, I'll become a leader, or I will become a CEO. I can print a card and I can say I'm a CEO and stuff like that. But the reality is that you are the CEO, you are the peon, you are the, you have to do everything. Okay, so a lot of times, this wrong idea is seeps into our mind that, hey, I'm going to be a big guy. But actually, it's not like that. Every startup, including இப்போ நீங்க வந்து Facebook எடுத்துக்கோங்க, or you take any big company today, if you look at how it all started and how the journey was, it was totally different. So it was a very the person who started it had to do a lot of work, and that's how it grew, right? And so again, you may have an idea, but everybody has idea, right? So எல்லார்கிட்ட ஒரு ஐடியா இருக்கும். நீங்க வந்து if you go to some place, you will be frustrated. நீங்க ஒரு லைன்ல நின்றுட்டு இருக்கீங்க, ஒரு கியூல நின்றுட்டு இருக்கீங்க, ஒரு டிக்கெட் வாங்கணும், ஒரு ஃப்ரஸ்ட்ரேஷன் வரும். இதுக்கு ஒரு ஐடியா இருக்காதா, இதுக்கு ஒரு சொல்யூஷன் இருக்காதான்னு யோசிப்பீங்க. But that is not going to be path breaking, by the way, and we'll come to that in a bit. And finally, friends coming together can be really jolly and fun, but not necessarily it's going to work. And one of the reasons why startups fail is because co-founders didn't work together. And I'll be very honest with you, me and my friends, we couldn't work together. I mean, we fell apart. But the good thing was that we still continue to be friends, but we're no longer business partners, right? So that's how the reality, out of the reality, right? So let me just quickly share, what we're going to be looking at, today. So we're looking at, this few things, right? The IOA model, and then we'll be looking at, the vitamins versus painkiller. What skills do you need to be an entrepreneur and how to get started, right? So let's quickly start off. And I want to actually help you understand how startup, it's a very simple idea, right? So எதுக்கு வந்து ஸ்டார்ட் அப் வந்து ரொம்ப ஈஸியா இருக்கு நிறைய பேருக்கு. இன்னைக்கு வந்து ஸ்டார்ட் அப் பண்ணணும் எல்லாரும் துடிக்கிறாங்க, ரைட்? ஸோ வை இஸ் தட்? பிகாஸ் எவ்ரிபடி திங்ஸ், ஹே, நானும் ஒரு ஸ்விக்கி பண்ணலாமே, நானும் எனக்கு கோடிங் தெரியும், ரைட்? ஆர் எனக்கு வந்து ஒரு ஐ கேன் பில்ட் அ பிசிக்கல் ப்ராடக்ட், ரைட்? ஆர் நான் வந்து ஐ கேன் செல் ஸ்டஃப் ஆன் இன்ஸ்டாகிராம், ரைட்? நிறைய இன்ஸ்டாகிராம் இன்ஃப்ளூயன்சர்ஸ் தான் வந்துட்டாங்க. ஸோ நானும் இன்ஸ்டாகிராம் இன்ஃப்ளூயன்சரா மாறி நானும் வந்து ஐ கேன் செல் சம் ஸ்டஃப் அண்ட் மேக் மணி. ஸோ இன்னைக்கு வந்து அந்த ஆக்சஸ் இருக்கிறனால நிறைய பேர் என்ன யோசிக்கிறாங்கன்னா, இது ரொம்ப ஈஸி, ரொம்ப சுலபம். பட் that's not the reality. I'm going to show you why it looks easy. So let's take this chai. I always give this chai app because it's the most easiest thing and it's the most consumed thing, if you realize, right? So இப்போ வந்து let's say நீங்க வந்து ஒரு சாய்க்கு ஒரு ஆப் நீங்க கிரியேட் பண்ண போறீங்க. Now offices are open, and of course there is this whole pandemic, proofing and all of that has happened, and அதனால கம்மி பேர் போறாங்க, பட் போறாங்க, ஆஃபீஸ் போறாங்க. இப்போ நீங்க என்ன பண்றீங்கன்னா, ஒரு ஆஃபீஸ்ல போயிட்டு நீங்க வந்து ஒரு ஆர்டர் எடுக்கிறீங்க. ஸோ வெரி வெரி சிம்பிள் திங் இஸ் ஐம் கோனா ஷோ யூ ஹவ் யூ கேன் பி அ crorepati like by doing chai business. Okay, so let's start with that. So இப்போ நீங்க வந்து let's do a simple calculation. அந்த கால்குலேஷன் வந்து ஒரு சாயோட காஸ்ட் வந்து நம்ம வந்து 10 ரூபாய் எடுத்துக்கலாம். Okay, for the sake of calculation. Now imagine you are going to be supplying this, to an office of 1,000 people. Okay, so now if you really see, it becomes 10,000. So ஒரு நாளைக்கு ஒரு வாட்டி சாய் கொடுத்தா 10,000 ரூபாய் நீங்க வந்து சம்பாதிக்கலாம். Okay, now you multiply this 1,000 by, let's say, 10 offices. Okay, so now you are able to see that this becomes 1 lakh. Good. So romba easy. Okay, 1 lakh we are able to do this. Now you are going to multiply this 1 lakh, let's say, by 20 cities. So you are going to make 20 lakhs. Now interestingly, 20 lakhs, when you multiply it by 12 months, you become a crorepati. So you become a 2.4 crore business owner. Wow. Now இப்படிதான் நம்ம நிறைய பேர் வந்து entrepreneurship இப்படிதான் நினைக்கிறோம். இவ்வளவுதான், as simple as it. Okay, இவ்வளவு யூனிட் பிரைஸ் இவ்வளவு மல்டிப்ளை பண்ணிட்டா டக் 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 டக்னு நம்ம வந்து நிறைய காசு வந்து சம்பாதிச்சிடலாம் அப்படின்னு. But the reality is, this is not how entrepreneurship works. This is not how startup works. Okay, it sounds simple, it looks very simple. Now the way I want to help you understand, and I want to ask a question, if you can just type it out. How many people think that Swiggy is extremely successful in India? If you say yes, give me a thumbs up. Swiggy is successful in India. Swiggy வந்து இந்த மாதிரி தான் பண்றாங்க. They're actually like creating, they are delivering food from one place to other place, right? So how many of you think that Swiggy is successful? Just put a thumbs up on the chat. Okay, so I see some of you have lifted your hands. Awesome. Good. Okay, now I'm going to share something which is going to really like blow your mind. Okay, Swiggy right now is in the loss of 3,768 crores.
Maybe I was going to charge my phone. You don't have charge at all.
Okay, so
Where's your charger?
impact is
Put your phone on charge.
7%. कितना दे रहा है?
I have 5%.
Huh?
5%.
Liar.
All right, I'm going to request for you to kindly mute your mic, please.
Yeah.
Sorry
So
about
phone
that,
charging
Joseph.
can also be a good business, by the way. I mean, there's somebody who has a phone charging issue there. Okay, great. So very simple thing. If you look at this, Swiggy right now at 3,768 crore loss. So how can a loss-making company actually be good? So a company is supposed to make profit, but that's not how startups really work. Okay, so we'll come back to that. Now, investors are not fools to put money into Swiggy, which is making so much of loss. So investors, there's levels of investment. So you start with seed investment, or sometimes even you do pre-seed investment, then you see seed investment, and then you see, it grows on and on, right? And from pre-seed, from seed, it becomes Series A, you have Series B, Series C, Series D, Series E. And from Series E, most of the companies, they go public. They do an initial public offering and they raise money from public and it goes. So none of these investors who invest are fools. Okay, they know that Swiggy is a loss-making company, but they invest in it. They invest in it because there's value in it. And so don't confuse value with profit. Value and profit has got nothing to do with each other. And there is a loss that sometimes you have to take to grow. Okay, we'll talk about that in a bit, right? But I want to understand that startups work very differently. So to do a startup, the first thing that you need to understand is that, the most important word is the word value. So are you able to generate value? And if you're able to generate value, then great. But the same business that I said, if you are able to show that, hey, with my business model, I will be able to bring, let's say, close to about 5 crore, people all over the world using my app, and ordering drinks like chai and all these hot beverages, then it's of tremendous value. Why it's tremendous? Why it's got tremendous value? It's not about you delivering chai and all of that. It's tremendous value because you're able to understand people's behavior. யார் வந்து எத்தனை மணிக்கு சாய் ஆர்டர் பண்றாங்க, எத்தனை வாட்டி சாய் ஆர்டர் பண்றாங்க, யாருக்கு என்னென்ன தேவைப்படுது. So you're able to understand behavior. And using behavior predictions in the future, you will be able to develop something called a huge data lake. And using a data lake, you will be able to then create an AI module, an artificial intelligence module, and be able to, show at the right time what somebody needs and be able to like get a 5 crore more people into the app and give them what they need when they need it, right? So it's of tremendous value, and only if you have that scale and volume. Got it? So a lot of times startups, value scale. If you're able to scale, fantastic. That means your idea is brilliant if it's going to affect so many number of people. Take Byju's, for example. Byju's grew because parents want their kids, to go and join an IIT. I'm pretty sure that your parents, they wanted you to study engineering or, some professional course or, do something extremely professional, or probably become an accountant and have this whole professional pathway. Now, Byju's came in and Byju's said, hey, we will help your kids, get into these kind of courses. Now, they understood that this is so many parents across India have this mindset. So it was so easy for them to penetrate the market and they were able to scale. So the value is scale, okay? Or the value is something called premium. Okay, so premium means that not everybody can access it. Only few people can access it, and it's going to be a lot of cost, but it really, really works. For example, take Tata Click. Tata Click is where you can go and buy an Armani t-shirt, right? Now, Tata Click Luxury understands that there are only few people who are going to come. It's not going to be a big volume, but anga varumbodhu, they have a preference. They're going to buy a big brand, and they're going to pay for it, and they're going to buy it. And so, if you're looking at volume, or you can look at it being premium, or it being something which is exclusive, right? Now, in the value, we call it as value proposition. Value proposition, in the value should make sense for the people who are going to buy, because they're going to give money and buy, or they're going to spend their time, whatever it is, right? So it should be valuable to them. If you have a strong value proposition, you should do a startup. If you do not have a strong value proposition, then don't do a startup, right? So this is the basis of how we're going to go about. Now, a lot of times when you're starting a startup, you will not know the value. You just won't understand the value. So very quickly, I don't know how many of you know this app. Okay, this app came long back. So this app was very simple. It was called a check-in app. Check-in app means, let's say I go to a hotel, or I go to a restaurant, I'm eating there. And when I go to that place, the GPS will automatically track me and it'll check me into that place. It'll ask me, hey, can I check you in this place? So I put check-in. And what happens is people around me, or my friends, they can see me and say, hey, wow, I mean, this guy, Joseph, my friend, is here. So they'll track me and they'll come and meet me, right? So that was the whole idea of this check-in app. So check-in app start pannanga, nalladhaan pochu and all that. But then a bigger player came. The bigger player's name was Foursquare. Avanga vandu the whole market disrupt pannanga, because they had a better technology. So these guys are wondering what to do. And interestingly, most of you will have this app on your phone, and this app is called Instagram. So Bourbon realized, hey, people nammaloda platform la check-in mattum pannala, photo kuda share pandran. And then they realized, oh wow, this is interesting. So nariya per photo share pandranga, it's becoming really big, and people are actually coming for the photos. Then they said, why can't we build a photo app? Then they said, okay, photo app. One more thing what you notice is people are sharing square photos. Then they said, okay, we're going to do Instagram. So instantly you push a photo out and people can see what you're doing, where you are, right? And that is why Instagram, doesn't allow you to upload photos, via your desktop, because you have to be at a certain place to click a photo and upload the photo. That is a use case. Okay. So very interestingly, this app grew really big, and then finally Facebook bought this app for a very big deal. It was extremely, extremely useful, right? Because people are sharing stories and people wanted to know, people wanted to meet, and there's always a value. And that one of the value proposition is called social, right? So people want to be social, people want to connect, and this app was making it possible. And this app became Instagram. So nariya time we start பண்ணும்போது நமக்கு value தெரியாது. Once we start doing things, right, then we start understanding, oh wow, we could do this, we could do this, and wow, this something new is here. And most of the time you would discover value. Okay, so remember this word, you don't start with value, you discover value, and you realize that this is what people will value you for, right? So the first thing is, if you don't have a strong value proposition, don't start. But most of the time you will not know your value proposition, so start, but discover your value as you keep going forward, right? So very quickly, what is the mindset that you need to have when you're starting? You need to have these three things, right? So very quickly, the first thing is you need to have the right intent, right? As I told in the beginning, if you think that you can make a lot of money, maybe not. Okay, so it is a game. I usually, when I meet a new entrepreneur, I tell them it's a game, a long-term game. It's a marathon, which means நீ 7 வருஷம் தாக்கு பிடிச்சேன்னா அப்போ நீ businessல இருக்கலாம். Because business is not, it's a cycle. It works with economic cycle. இன்னைக்கு ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ண உடனே டக்குன்னு காசு வராது. It could happen to somebody. It's very rare and it is exception. But most of the people don't, right? So the whole idea here is to have the right intent. And your intent should be, as I said, should be to create value. And this value is nothing but how can I create something that is helpful to many people or to few people, and it should really make sense, right? So for example, let me give you a simple use case that I came across very recently, and I'm helping this company called Teal HQ, right? I'm mentoring them. So Teal HQ does something very simple, right? It started by a guy called David Fenno, and the Teal HQ, what it does is when you're applying for jobs, right? The saddest part is that you do not know where you applied. நீங்க வந்து LinkedIn apply பண்ணுவீங்க, நீங்க வந்து you'll probably apply jobs on Indeed or Naukri.com or Monster.com. You don't know where you applied your jobs. நீங்க என்ன பண்ணுவீங்க, அந்த எல்லா இடத்துல நீங்க அப்ளை பண்ண இடம்னா நீங்க என்ன பண்ணுவீங்க, you'll go to your desktop and you'll go to your browser and you will create a bookmark. அதை சேவ் பண்ணி வச்சுப்பீங்க, அப்புறம் வந்து பார்த்து செக் பண்ணணும், right? Or you will think that probably email வந்துடும் போல, செலக்ட் ஆனா வந்துடும், but track வைக்கிறதுக்கு ஒண்ணுமே இல்லை. And this is a simple use case, right? And this was there, like in the use case has been there for so many days, so many years in the problem இருக்கு. So in the problem, David and his team, they solved it. David used to work for WeWork, a very big company. He came out and started this, and it's working really well. And he was able to onboard from when he started. He started last year, and by this time, he has onboarded close to about 2 million users, right? And interestingly, 60% of them are paying users. So which means it's a real problem. And tomorrow, if David closes his app, so many people will feel very bad about it. So which means there's real value. How do you know that you're creating something of real value? நாளைக்கு நீங்க வந்து உங்க ஸ்டார்ட்அப் நீங்க க்ளோஸ் பண்ணிட்டீங்க. It can be any startup. You could be selling sarees also. It could be anything, right? அது நீங்க நாளைக்கு க்ளோஸ் பண்ணீங்கன்னா நிறைய பேர் வந்து ஃபீல் ஆகணும், hey, what happened, why this guy shut down such an amazing place, right? If you're running a juice shop, people should say, wow, now on the 8 kilometers now I come and I drink juice, but enna aachu avanga visaarikkanum. If that is the case, that means you are really having the right intent. Okay, second thing is not just about having intent, it's also about taking action. So action is basically going out and talking to as many number of people who have the similar problem, understanding the problem very clearly, and then building a solution for it. And your solution is not going to be the perfect solution. So நிறைய டைம் வந்து நிறைய பேர்கிட்ட நீங்க மீட் பண்ணோம். You have to meet mentors. You might have probably go and connect with EDII Institute, or with few entrepreneurs and understand from them, learn from them, and take action, start building. And that's how you're going to really grow. Okay. And final thing is you have to start tracking your outcome. So outcome has to be very clear. So your outcome has to be that, hey, in 1 year time, I want to do this. So whenever I meet somebody who's just starting, I ask them, hey, what's your one metric that you're measuring, right? Because I want to know what is the metric that they measure, right? So I ask them this question about one metric, and it works out really, really well. And if they have a metric that they measure, it's really good. If you don't have a metric, it doesn't make sense. So if you're doing entrepreneurship, take 1 year, plan it out, and say, hey, within this year, I want to see this. Again, don't put a money metric to it, because in the first year, your money metric might not work. But you can probably put a user metric, or you can probably say, itna customer na serve pannu, right? Or your production na pannu, or whatever it is, right? So one metric that is super clear for you, and you should be outcome driven in that sense, right? Okay, so we're done with our mindset. We understood how startup really is all about. It's all about value, and it's all about having the right mindset. But now let's understand these two important things, right? So a lot of times I've seen people building things that nobody wants, right? So we call it in the startup world, we call it as vitamin and pain killer. So are you building a vitamin, or are you building a painkiller? So a vitamin is really good. It energizes your body. It actually adds that vital nutrients that are needed for you, and it's good, but it is not a need. It is not a must-have. It's not solving a pain, right? Whereas a painkiller solves really a pain, right? So let me give you a example of a painkiller right now, right? So a painkiller right now in the market is something like, it's going to be very interesting for you to understand. Like Facebook is a painkiller. Now you will say, how is Facebook a painkiller? Now, interestingly, I don't know if you realize, all of us, when we actually go and log into Facebook, we keep scrolling. Okay, we keep scrolling mindlessly. ஒரு வாட்டி ஃபேஸ்புக்ல போனாலே வந்து ஒரு 1 hour 2 hours வந்து நம்ம ஸ்டக் ஆயிடுறோம். எதுக்கு ஸ்டக் ஆகிறோம்? What is Facebook really doing? Right? So what Facebook actually does is, நம்ம எல்லாருக்குள்ள வந்து we have these two things. We are very curious. We want to know what's happening in other people's life. And second thing is, we want to connect, and we are social people. We want to connect with people. So what Facebook does is it fulfills this both, and every time you scroll, you are going to have so dopamine is when you feel really happy by seeing somebody and seeing a video and laughing at a funny video. And then cortisol is when you feel empathy, say some sad story, and so it hooks you in, it puts you there. You see a quote which makes you very happy, then you scroll, you see your friend is taking a bike ride somewhere and posing with a bike. Wow, in a bike is it? So you start to do that, and every time you do that, dopamine and cortisol gets released, and that's why it's a painkiller. It actually addresses that problem, right? Whereas a vitamin is something that nobody needs, right? It's copy. So today what people think is, na copy adistena na vandu easy vandu scale pannidlam, right? And so you want to only come up with painkillers, and not something that you feel is a good idea. It should really address a real pain point, and which is the third most important point that I wanted to share with you, right? Fourth thing, what are the skills that you need? There's two skills. I'll categorize this as two. Okay, so the first is, you need to be good at one of these areas to start a business, right? So you need to be either good at at engineering, or we call it as product, or you should be somebody who is a creator. Okay, great. You say that, hey, என்னால வந்து ப்ராடக்ட்லாம் பண்ண முடியாது, நான் இன்ஜினியர்லாம் இல்லை, நான் வந்து கோடிங்லாம் தெரியாது, நான் கிரியேட்டர்லாம் இல்லை, நான் வந்து என்னால வந்து சாரி எல்லாம் வியூ பண்ண முடியாது, whatever, right? Great, no problem. The second thing that you need to have is, you should be good at sales. Okay, you should know to sell. சரி, ஃபர்ஸ்ட் திங் வரலையா, செகண்ட் திங் இருக்கணும், நல்லா விற்க தெரியணும். ஓகே, விற்கிறது வந்து எப்படின்னா, one of the skills for you to sell is, you should take criticism. You should not take no for an answer. You should persist, right? So அந்த சேல்ஸ் ஸ்கில் இருக்கணும், எப்படி பேசணும்னு தெரியணும், யார்கிட்ட பேசணும்னு தெரியணும். ஸோ நல்ல ஸ்கில்ஸ் தெரியணும். சரி, எனக்கு ஸ்கில்ஸ் எல்லாம் தெரியாதுங்க. Third thing, you should know marketing, and there's a difference between marketing and sales. So marketing is letting people know about your product. So you're saying, hey, what, நான் வந்து சோஷியல் மீடியால போட்டா போஸ்ட் வந்து பயங்கரமா வைரல் ஆயிடும், நான் எனக்கு நல்லா தெரியும் எப்படி பண்ணணும்னு. ஸோ நான் 10 பேர்கிட்ட வந்து நான் இதை வந்து awareness, will create awareness for about this, whatever we have as a startup, right? So you should be a marketing person, or you should be an operations person, right? Which means you need to be somebody who knows how to handle people, how to handle money, or how to handle supply chain. One of these areas you need to be really good at. If you're not good in any of one of these areas, then I think entrepreneurship is not for you. And why I say that is because end of the day, you start off, and your friends or co-founders, they will start seeing you as a non-value person. So instead of that, you take a value that you have, and you can go and stay employed somewhere, because end of the day, that's also a good pathway, right? Extremely a good pathway. So you need to be having one of these things. Apart from this, you should also have these three things. The first thing is, you need to have a never give up spirit. Okay, you should be resilient, persistent, right? So remember, startup is all about failures. I like what Mary Angeline ma'am started off in the beginning, right? So it's like, if you haven't failed, it means you never started. So the whole idea is that startup na neriya failure varum. Fail ஆனா வந்து சின்ன வயசுல உங்களை திட்டு இருப்பாங்கல்ல, எரும மாடு மாதிரி இருக்க நீன்னு, எரும மாடு ஸ்கின் இருக்கலாம், அந்த மாதிரி இருக்கணும். So nothing should penetrate you, right? You should be very thick skinned person, and நிறைய failure வரும், 10 பேர் 10 விதமா சொல்லுவாங்க, அதெல்லாமே இருக்கும். அதெல்லாமே நம்ம என்ன பண்ணோம், அதெல்லாம் வந்து கண்டுக்காம நம்ம வேலையை பார்த்துட்டு இருக்கணும். So never give your attitude and be ready to embrace failure, right? ரெண்டாவது வந்து we should be a good learner. So if you think that, hey, எனக்கு எல்லாமே தெரியும், no, it's not going to help. So you have to meet people, understand from them, learn from them, and find out. And third thing is you should learn to adapt, right? So the very simple thing is that business is all about cycles. நிறைய things வந்து businessல வந்து உங்க கண்ட்ரோல்லே இல்லை. நாளைக்கு வந்து ஒரு புது இன்னொரு சட்டம் வரலாம், ரைட்? நாளைக்கு வந்து இன்னொரு கண்ட்ரில வந்து ஒரு பெரிய வார் நடக்கலாம். அந்த வார்னால வந்து எக்கானமி வந்து ஷிஃப்ட் ஆகலாம், எது வேணாலும் நடக்கலாம். நடக்கிற டைம் வந்து அந்த சூழ்நிலைக்கு தகுந்த மாதிரி நீங்க வந்து அடாப்ட் பண்ணிக்கணும். You should adapt to the situation and you should know how to leverage the situation, how to make good use of the situation, right? COVID has so many examples of how people really understood the situation and leverage the situation. I mean, நீங்க யோசிப்பீங்க, பெரிய ஸ்டார்ட்அப்ஸ் எல்லாம் இல்ல, சின்ன ஸ்டார்ட்அப்ஸ். லைக் I don't know how many of you realize, right? COVID timeல the mask எவ்வளவு volume need இருந்துச்சு. How many people just started like stitching cloth masks and made a lot of money. So adapt. It might not be a main business. I know so many people who moved away from the main business because main business was not working, and they adapted to a smaller business, but it was working for them. And so you have to learn to do that in effect, right? So these are the skill sets that you need in order to actually be pretty good at entrepreneurship. And final thing as we end is I'm going to show you the process of starting up, right? So we'll end with this and I'll pick a few questions. So when you start up, it all starts with one amazing idea, super idea. Wow, it could be like a life-changing idea, right? So it's good. This idea is very important. But what a lot of people do is they take this idea and they straight away go and they build this idea, right? So they skip the step 2 and they jump from here to here and they straight away build this idea. Now, what you need to do is completely different. What you need to do is you need to take this idea, what you have, and you need to go and meet a lot of people. And we call it user interviews. User interview, no? You're going to go and meet people and ask them. So let's say you're selling sari. You're going to go and find out what kind of saris do people, do the women folk like in a certain place, like in Chennai, right? And எந்த மாதிரி சாரீஸ்க்கு டிமாண்ட் இருக்கு. So probably you want to go to a big sari store and just stay there for like 1 or 2 hours and observe where the demand is coming from, right? And things like that, right? So that could be really, really helpful for you, right? So that's how the whole thing really works, right? Now, you have to have some bit of data and analysis to ensure that your idea that you have is a good idea. It's not a bad idea, which means in the idea, remember, I said this idea has to be feasible. This idea has to be, desirable and viable. What it means is feasible ena in the idea வந்து நம்மளால வந்து solve பண்ண முடியும். Technology வச்சு solve பண்ணலாம், ஏதாச்சும் solve பண்ணலாம். But இந்த solve பண்ணா it's feasible, which means அது நம்மளால முடியும், right? ரெண்டாவது வந்து it should be desirable. நிறைய பேர் வந்து should have a need, or some people should have a need who are ready to pay a lot of money. Okay, so there should be a need. And final thing is it should be viable. Viable means people should be ready to pay you money, and they should be ready to give you money and say, hey, I like it, I'm ready to give you money because you have a good product. இது வந்து நீங்க வந்து you should do it right before you start your startup. You should not do it because if you can take risk. Entrepreneurship is all about taking risk, but take calculated risk. Understand, find out, and once you're convinced, then you go and talk to few more people, talk to some entrepreneurs who already been there, done that, ask them, they'll give you some wisdom. Not all time வந்து நம்ம agree பண்ண மாட்டோம், but it's good to talk to them, right? And you will get a lot of wisdom from them. And then you are able to say, okay, now my idea is good and I have my idea validation done. Now I can go ahead and build a solution for this. Now, once you build your solution for it, right, then what you're doing is you're not going to build a full solution. So we call it minimum viable product. Minimum viable product na எது தேவையோ அது மட்டும் நம்ம பண்ணணும், right? So for example, let's take sari business, as I gave you the example, and let's say you're creating a very, very simple sari business using Instagram to distribute your sari. Now, very simple thing is minimum viable product there means you're going to take one product line, maybe like Banaras sari, right? Just one product line, and you're going to only sell it on Instagram. Got it? So you already realize that Banaras sari is a need. Okay, and then you're going to take that, you're going to create a minimum viable product. So adukku vandu you're going to do a supply chain. So you're going to say, how can I get the sarees from Varanasi, bring it here? What is the supply chain for it? Enga store panna poren? Okay, now on the first vandu or enoda count vandu will be 50 sarees na vikkanum. Avladha. So 50 sarees na anga irundhu edukren, or na weekly store pandren, or na packaging na pandren, அப்புறம் நான் வந்து இன்ஸ்டாகிராம்ல விற்கிறேன். ஸோ அதுக்கு வந்து நான் ஒரு கொரியரை நம்ம வந்து இது பண்ணோம். ஸோ you're going to find the whole solution to it and make it happen. So this is called minimum viable, right? So let's say you, instead of minimum viable, you say இல்ல நான் எல்லாம் different types of sarees I will sell. Then it's not going to work because you'll not understand the process, you'll not understand the success metrics, you'll not understand how this business really works. So it's good to keep a track and understand. And in business world, it's always good to keep track of analytics. So who is coming, who is checking out, yaar sari vaangranga, edukku vaangranga. The more you get to know information and data, the more you'll be able to make it effective, right? So it's good to always start with minimum viable product. If you're doing a coding, if you are a coder and you're coming up with an app, come up with a simple minimum viable app. Minimum viable app means you should have only 1 or 2 features, maximum 3 features. Ella feature ninga or idukkulla pottingana, it's total waste, because you will not know. But what you can do is, let's say people don't like all these 3 features, then you can pivot, then you will know. And the main thing that we're trying to understand and learn here is the word called validation. So now we're going to do solution validation. So first we did idea validation, from a solution validation panna porom. Solution validation panna apparama a lot of people are going to start using the product or the app or whatever you're creating, right? And then what you're going to do is you're going to understand whether these people, really are satisfied, whether these people really like this, whether these people really want this. And the interesting part is, if your product is really, really good, then you will refer this product to so many people. Okay, I'll give you a simple example. There's one company in India which didn't do ads at all, but most of the people I know use this product. It is there on the phone. It's called Truecaller. Truecaller vandu oru selli, they didn't spend even 1 naya paisa, right, on ads. But interestingly, how Truecaller worked. So the first person downloaded Truecaller, and then avanga enna pannanga, they went and showed to somebody, hey, paaru, like, na number enter pandram paaru, and on the name vandidum. Then the other person came to know about it. So the word of mouth, it spread, right? So really good apps, work with word of mouth, right? And so you don't have to really incentivize it. So that's how it's a good, you're having a good product or a bad product, right? So you want to take that analytics, and if it's not really working, nariya per illa then pudikala neenga amchuta sari vandu nalla illana, you're again going to come back to the drawing board and you're going to really pivot. So remember, you have only 2 pathways: pivot or progress. Okay, so you make a change of progress, and you have to make the choice depending on how people use your product. And finally, when things go really well, then we call it scale. Now it's time for you to think about bringing more sari lines. It's time for you to bring, expand to new cities. So let's say you're doing only for Chennai, it's time for you to expand to new cities. It's time for you to expand to new countries. But scale is only when you have validated your model, right? Now, very important thing, there are so many things that are there in this, but the main thing is that validation pandra time, you will have to learn how to price your product, right? Why are people paying for your product, right? So all of this becomes extremely, critical for you to understand why are people paying for this product, and and what will they pay for it, right? And things like that, right? So I'm just going to end with this, end with probably like one or two different startups that I don't know if you heard of them or not heard of them, but it'll help you understand how startups can be very wild and can have different use cases and ideas. So in US, there's a startup called Birchbox. Okay. And so what Birchbox does is very, very simple. Every month, you pay a subscription for Birchbox. Okay. So you're going to like pay maybe $30, $50, whatever, right? So they have different packages. What they do is every month they will deliver clothes to you. Now, you can't order your clothes. It's a mystery box. So maybe sometimes you'll get shirts, sometimes you'll get jeans, sometimes you might get sneakers. You don't know what's coming in the box, okay? But they give you good quality stuff, really good quality. But what Birchbox does is they understand a lot about you. They understand your fashion sense. They understand who you really are. But the fun in this is mystery. So one of the value proposition that Birchbox has is called mystery. And it's very, very interesting that mystery can also be a value proposition, right? Not necessarily only, having straightforward, deals, right? So there is a lot of value proposition that you have. Okay, one more example would be Dropbox. Okay, we all would have heard of Dropbox. So Dropbox is where you can go and save your files and all of that. Okay. Now, one interesting thing is, Dropbox is telling you, that, hey, we'll give you some storage free of cost. I don't know what is the free tier right now, but some GB is free. And you become very happy, oh, I can store some photos and good stuff and put it out there. But then culture and the GB on the increase side, increase on Dropbox will tell you, hey, buy a premium package. Right? And it's very, very interesting that Dropbox is able to like make this. Now, why do people buy this? Because they're afraid, and we call it loss aversion. Loss aversion means, ஐயோ நான் பே பண்ணலன்னா என் டேட்டா எல்லாமே போயிடுமே, இந்த டேட்டா மறுபடியும் நான் எங்க ஸ்டோர் பண்றது? ஸோ ஆல்ரெடி அந்த டேட்டா எக்ஸாஸ்ட் பண்ணியாச்சு, 10 GB நான் ஸ்டோர் பண்ணிட்டேன். சரி, எவ்வளவு காசு? ஓகே, ₹700 தானே, பே பண்ணிடலாம். This is how people think, and we call it loss aversion. So value வந்து வேற விதமா வரும், right? And it's all about trying to understand that. Okay. And the last example I'll give you, which is Amazon, right? Amazon வந்து Amazon Prime னு வச்சிருக்கான், correct? So most of you would have already known about Amazon Prime. So Primeல என்ன, நீங்க Prime வாங்குனீங்கன்னா என்ன கொடுக்குறான்? ஒன்னு வந்து வீடியோ பார்க்கலாம் லாகின் பண்ணிட்டு, இன்னொன்னு வந்து உங்க டெலிவரி ஃபாஸ்ட் ஆகும், ரைட்? மூணாவது வந்து உங்களை ப்ரையாரிட்டி பண்ணுவோம், ரைட்? உங்களுக்கு ப்ரையாரிட்டி கொடுப்பான், டீல்ஸ் வந்துச்சுன்னா உங்களுக்கு தான் ஃபர்ஸ்டா காமிப்பான், அந்த மாதிரி. பட் இது வந்து ஒரு சப்ஸ்கிரிப்ஷன், ஒரு வருஷத்துக்கு வந்து you're going to pay some money. Interestingly, Amazon makes a loss on the video platform. They don't make money as much as Netflix makes. They take a heavy loss on that, but they gain users who buy on their main platform, and that's how Amazon makes money, right? So interesting thing is that a lot of times when you see things, you might not be able to see the way the business is run. So அதுதான் நம்ம business model ன்னு சொல்றோம், right? So I encourage you to start, you should all start up, because why I'm going to end with this encouraging words, why you should start up, because world has so many problems. There are so many problems this world has, right? And each one of you, are smart people, because you know how to solve these problems. Why? Because you're going through the same problems, right? அப்போ நீங்க வந்து உங்க own problems பாருங்களேன், like what are the problems that you may have. Probably ஒரு simple problem இருக்கலாம், எல்லா மாசம் நான் யோசிக்கிறேன், சேவ் பண்ணணும்னு யோசிக்கிறேன், பட் சேவ் பண்ணவே முடியல, ஒரு காசு கூட நான் சேவ் பண்ண முடியல. It's a big problem. Hey, you want to save, saving is good, but save பண்ண முடியல காசை. So how do you solve this problem? Probably is there a better way to solve this problem? There could be so many ways, right? So many problems that you might be having, and you can think of some amazing solutions. But when you think of the solutions, right, as I said, go and talk to people and see if the idea is a value driven idea, and then you start build your solution, start working towards it, right? So I'll encourage you, but again, don't get into entrepreneurship for wrong intent, for wrong ideas, because there are only very few people, who make it to that level. Like, for example, I had the privilege of talking to Sachin Bansal a couple of weeks back. Now Sachin Bansal is running a company called Navi. Navi is into fintech space. And prior to that, I don't know if you really know who Sachin Bansal is. He is the guy who started Flipkart, right? And he sold it. It went for a very big deal, and Walmart picked a very big piece on it, right? So I was talking to Sachin Bansal, and Sachin Bansal, it will surprise you, right? The money that he has made out of the whole deal, he made 1 billion. 1 billion is not a joke. 1 billion is about 7,346 crores in today's value. So you can be a Sachin Bansal. Okay, it could be possible that you could be Sachin Bansal. But at the same time, not everybody can be Sachin Bansal. And so entrepreneurship is not about that. Entrepreneurship is about creating value. And you could still be doing a good business. You can still be doing a 30 million, 40 million, 100 million business. It's still good and still changing the world, right? So a lot of times, don't look at some big startup idols and get into it and do this business. It's good. They made it big. It's a great journey that they have taken. But get into startup because you have a value. When you focus on that, 101% you will make money. 101% you'll be able to do something amazing because you're delivering value, right? And then that will future proof. So those are my thoughts. I hope it was interesting, and I hope you could take some lessons out of it. And I'm open to take your questions right now.
Thank you, Joseph. So Joseph Maria Tamil and answer. So Joseph he walks the talk. So so that's why I did, I was very subtle with his profile, because I wanted for all of you to first listen to him in the first place, and then let me prove it by also giving a brief about his profile to all of you. Joseph Abraham, all right, is the founder at SaaSindustry.com. Is an ecosystem for all things software as a service and the new global economy. Prior to that, he served on the leadership at Royal Bank of Scotland and Great Lakes Institute of Management. He is passionate about helping. Okay, helping SaaS companies that are transforming the world, advising 43 early stage, companies ranging from 1 million to 5 million US dollars SaaS companies. And as an advisor at SaaS Industry, he has helped generate a cumulative return of investment of over 16 million in 12 months. So is it the expert for, Nikki in the session to guide us all, on this very topic, how to start up. So like Joseph said, so once again, Joseph, thank you so very much from all the organizers and partners. We are really, grateful, and we truly appreciate your kindness to accept our invitation to be our resource speaker for this webinar today for aspiring, student entrepreneurs. Thank you. Now, Joseph is open for your questions. We've also opened the chat box. You can type in your questions in there. And students, I would like to let know this. We have shared the feedback form link. So if you would want your e-certificate for this event, participate pannadukana e-certificate ungalku venum appadina, there is this link that you will find in the chat box. This link takes you to the feedback. So all that you got to do is key in the details that it asks for in the feedback. Neenga fill panna odane ungalodia e-certificate generate aagi ungalodia email, it will pop up in inbox. All right. So on that note, questions, please shoot. Joseph is all set with prompt responses and solutions for you. So this is also, we are streaming this webinar on YouTube. And we're also having questions in there. There is private questions coming in. Sir, how much money do I need for a startup? What is the investment that I should put in? So, Tamil, English, type panni vechirukanga. Just a moment. You there? Am I audible? Yeah. Would you like for me to repeat the question?
Great. So I think I got a question. So I thought you were adding something to it, but very quickly. So you don't need money to start a business. I mean, it's a very wrong myth that neriya cost there. But I don't know what business you want to start, right? So எனக்கு வந்து உங்க business என்ன business நீங்க start பண்றீங்கன்னு தெரிஞ்சுச்சுன்னா I can help you understand how much you need. So I'll answer this ரொம்ப general answer பண்றேன். நீங்க வந்து ஒரு மளிகை கடை வைக்கணும்னா உங்களுக்கு வந்து அந்த மளிகை கடை ஸ்டாக் பண்றதுக்கு காசு தேவை. அந்த மளிகை கடை ரெண்ட் எடுக்கிறதுக்கு அட்வான்ஸ் கொடுக்கணும். அந்த மளிகை கடையில வந்து ஒரு 4-5 பேர் வேலை பண்ணுவாங்க, அவங்களுக்கு காசு கொடுக்கணும். ஸோ அதுதான் உங்க வந்து ஸ்டார்டிங் இது. பட் அது மட்டும் இல்ல, அது வந்து ஒரு 6 monthsக்கு உங்களுக்கு இருக்கணும். அப்போதான் அதுதான் நம்ம வந்து ஸ்டார்ட் அப்ல வந்து ரன்வேன்னு சொல்லுவோம். ரன்வேன்னா ஐ மீன் இட் ஷுட் பி தேர் ஃபார் சம் டைம், ரைட்? ஸோ அது இருந்துச்சுன்னா யூ கேன் ரியலி திங்க் அபவுட் இட். நீங்க ஒரு ஜிம் போட போறீங்க, ஜிம்னா ஒரு பை எக்யூப்மெண்ட், இதே தான் ரெண்ட், எக்யூப்மெண்ட், ட்ரைனர்ஸை கொண்டு வரணும், அந்த மாதிரி, ரைட்? பட் இஃப் யூ ஆர் லுக்கிங் அட் டூயிங் டெக் ஸ்டார்ட் அப், ஸோ வை டெக் ஸ்டார்ட் அப்ஸ் ஆர் வெரி இன்ட்ரெஸ்டிங் இஸ் பிகாஸ் நீங்க வந்து வீட்லயே உங்க லேப்டாப் வச்சுட்டு யூ கேன் கோட் இஃப் யூ நோ கோடிங். இஃப் யூ டோன்ட் நோ கோடிங் யூ கேன் லேர்ன் கோடிங், பை த வே. And if you don't know coding also, you can use apps like Bubble and build your own app. Okay, so Bubble is a very interesting platform. நீங்களே உங்க ஆப் நீங்க கிரியேட் பண்ணிக்கலாம். You can release it out. So back at SaaS Industry, we just created our own magazine app. It's getting launched out soon. And we didn't have to sit and build the whole app. It was pretty easy for us to get it done, right? So it's not a big deal today to do that. So it's all about learning and building something simple and going out. So tech startups is going to be always lesser cost. It's not capital intensive. It becomes capital intensive later. இப்போ நீங்க நிறைய பேர் ஸ்கேல் பண்ற டைம் வந்து 10,000 பேர் என்னோட பிளாட்ஃபார்ம் பத்தி தெரியணும்னா அப்போ ஆமா உங்களுக்கு மார்க்கெட்டிங் காஸ்ட் தேவைப்படும், சேல்ஸ் காஸ்ட் தேவைப்படும். பட் இப்போதைக்கு வந்து யூ டோன்ட் நீட் இட். அண்ட் அதே மாதிரி வந்து டெக் ஸ்டார்ட் அப்ஸ்க்கு வந்து நிறைய forums இருக்கு where you can actually go and raise money. I saw lately in Startup Indiaல வந்து which is government based. Startup India, Startup Tamil Nadu were giving some interesting grants and some investments were there. If you are doing something to help COVID and something around those areas, right? It was there. I noticed. And then நிறைய forums இருக்கு, நிறைய accelerator program இருக்கு, நிறைய incubator program இருக்கு. But most of them வந்து நீங்க டெக் ஸ்டார்ட் அப் இருந்தீங்கன்னா உங்களை வந்து அக்செப்ட் பண்ணுவாங்க, ரைட்? பட் if you're going to start a physical business, then it's going to be கொஞ்சம் capital intensive. If you're going to do like a tech startup, it will be less capital intensive in the beginning. Yeah. Yeah, I hope I'm audible. Not able to hear.
Joseph, you are now. We lost you for a few seconds. You're back now. Yeah. We lost you right at if you are going to start up.
Okay, so if you're going to start a tech business, அது வந்து கம்மி காசா இருக்கும். If you're going to start a physical business or anything that's got to do with something tangible, அப்போ அந்த காஸ்ட் இருக்கும் டெஃபினட்டா. நீங்க வந்து ஷவர்மா கடை போடுறீங்க, அதுக்கு காஸ்ட் இருக்கும். நீங்க வந்து ஒரு ஜூஸ் கடை போடுறீங்க, அதுக்கு ஒரு காஸ்ட் இருக்கும். But as far as I know, tech startups, it's going to be extremely less cost.
Great. Thank you for breaking the myth for all of us, Nikki. So money is not the big deal, to start up. It's just the idea and the right, all the inputs that you just shared. Thank you, Joseph. There's one other question. Sir, okay, they're caught up with the sorry, example that you gave. So we have questions from, one of the participants in this stream. Before that, I'm going to go ahead with this particular question. Is entrepreneur studies or course important to start a business, or is it better if we could be mentored by, an expert like you or somebody else experienced to learn in detailed manner? To become an entrepreneur, should I, take up a course or studies?
Entrepreneurship is itself a journey. It's not, it's itself is a course. Okay. So, course will help you. You see, for example, if you go to Entrepreneurship Development Institute, The reason you go is not to learn entrepreneurship. It is the reason you go is because you meet more people. Okay? And in entrepreneurship, one of the ways you learn is by meeting more people, more ideas, more different views. நிறைய பேர் வந்து அவங்க ஐடியா வச்சிருப்பாங்க, right? So it's always good, to basically meet more people and learn from them. Doing a course is only going to help you understand a few things, right? And it's good. Like I would recommend Startup School, which is free of cost, right? If you want to learn about like the basics of startup, like how do I manage money, how do I like plan my marketing, how do I plan my sales, Startup School by Y Combinator. If you go and search Startup School by Y Combinator, right? Sam Altman, brilliant resources, right? Updating on the you can watch it on your phone and learn about it. So you don't have to do a course. Many things already free of cost irukku. So it will give you that that kind of guidance. But it's always good to have a mentor who has already been a startup founder. That is very high value. That is like fire for you, right? I mean, it's really, really powerful. Instead of like going and getting a mentor just like that, but somebody who's been an entrepreneur in your field. If you want to start an app, then in that field, if you have an entrepreneur, it's going to be very, very helpful because they'll be able to help you and guide you. So I would choose to always have a mentor in my field than to doing a course.
Right, that's the right answer. Yes, thank you. I hope that helped to the one who questioned. So Joseph, we're already quarter past 4, and we are, so I think that's to do with questions for now. Yes, you can still go ahead and post your questions. We will revert to you privately. We will request our expert to help you with those questions that you come up. All right, now quickly I would like to also express our thanks to Mr. Shivashankar, Joint Director, EDI, IDEP, to Dr. Leo Samuel, Head of the Department of Journalism, University of Madras, Hub Coordinator, IEDP, Dr. Mary Angelin, Principal of Nazareth College of Arts and Science, the Secretary, Mr. A. and Henry Morris, to the team, MyOS, and to the entire team in the University of Madras, and to all those who contributed to all those who supported in getting this event happening for us. And a very special and sincere thanks to our resource speaker, Mr. Joseph Abraham. Thank you very much, Joseph. So thanks to our mentor. We're not going to stop here. We're going to come back again, with another event like this. Like I mentioned, we're going to come up with a lot of, boot camps in the future for you. So stay connected with Nazareth College of Arts and Science, University of Madras, IEDP, EDII, and MyOS for, future updates and further updates. Once again, to all the students, to all the faculties who've joined us from various colleges, thank you for your time. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for your involvement. This is Krista, your host for today. I had great time interacting with all of you. And I'm going to remind again, we have also, dropped in the feedback link to generate your e-certificate. All that you got to do is just fill in the feedback form and you will get your, e-certificate for your participation as, appreciation from us. All right. Thank you once again. Thank you so much for joining. Hey guys, you take care, be safe, stay home, and we are happy in creating student entrepreneurs, in making student entrepreneurs. We'll again meet you in an event like this. This is Krista signing off. This is MyOS signing off, along with our partners and co-organizers. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you, Joseph.